Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Melody. Today is going to be a video all about how you can raise your vibration. We're going back to the basics here. I really wanted to give my take on this. I feel like there's so many videos out there that give a hell of a lot of theory and not that much practicality. So in this video, I'm going to give you loads of practical tips and of course loads of examples of how you can hone the skill of raising your frequency regardless of the negative situations that inevitably happen in life, because it is a part of life. And I also want to stress that you should not be fearful of negative situations, because this is a common thing that I notice with people. When they want to start raising their vibration, they think that it's like a really long process that you have to build up to, and that's just not the truth. Your frequency is actually changing on a second by second basis. Everything is vibrating, everything is in constant movement, so technically you can raise your frequency right now if you want to, simply by deciding to. I'm going to put up a picture now of the vibrational scale. Feel free to take a print screen of this, save it on your phone or something, because then you can refer back to it at any stage. Now, what I tend to do when I talk to people about this is I ask them, what do you think is the lowest emotion that you can feel? And I often get various answers, but it never lands on the correct one. Believe it or not, the lowest emotion on the vibrational scale is shame and guilt. Oddly, fear is actually a little bit above that. The reason why I show this scale is that so many people want to just jump from the lowest emotion to feeling absolute bliss and peacefulness and enlightenment, when actually for some people that's actually quite difficult. And what I would recommend to anyone who's going through grief or some kind of extremely stressful situation, maybe your lifestyle is not where it needs to be, what I would recommend to those people is to climb up the scale. A lot of people will listen to music that channels anger, and the reason why they do that is typically because they're going through something that has caused a lot of sadness. And as you can see on the scale, anger is above all those sad emotions. So when you think about someone who is grieving, for example, a lot of people will hear about the different stages of grief. Well, when you look at that, it actually reflects the vibrational scale as well. So if you clicked on this video, I'm presuming that you already know this, but I'm just going to run through it one more time. Everything is vibrating on a certain frequency. And as humans, we have the power and the ability to change our frequency, to tune into higher frequencies. We can attract different things into our lives depending on what our frequency is. And you don't have to look very hard to see evidence of this play out in real life. I'm sure that you probably know at least one or a few people that you would say they tend to attract quite negative things into their life. And then you see other people and everything just seems to fall onto their lap with ease. Good things just happen to them. The reason why I'm doing this video today is because recently my entire focus has gone into raising my vibration and getting really good at honing that skill of not allowing circumstances to drag me down. And because I've been actively practicing these things, I've noticed that I am attracting so many good things into my life. Sometimes I'd get myself into a state where I thought to myself that life was just happening to me. And I also noticed a lot of patterns whereby something good would be going on in one area of my life, but then the other one would fall apart. And I constantly felt like I was playing a juggling game, and that at any given moment something bad would happen and it would just put me straight back down. Now things are different. One thing that's really helped me is understanding that when you are in a higher vibration, your ability to solve problems is opened up. When you're in a low frequency, it clouds your vision. You often see that when people get themselves in a tizzy, like when people spiral into negative thinking and you talk to them, they always seem to believe that there is literally no way out. They have convinced themselves that there is no solution. But because you're looking from the outside and you're most likely on a higher frequency, you can clearly see that there are very easy solutions to their problems. And it's only until you make them feel happier and better and raise them out of it that suddenly, oh, it's not actually that bad. We can fix this. The solutions to the problems are on the higher vibration, and you need to climb your way up there. You ever heard that phrase, birds of a feather flock together? Well, things on a lower frequency all hang out in the same place. So you'll often see that with people who are going through something difficult, suddenly all these other things will just pop up out of nowhere, and it seems that it's just one problem after the other. That's because they've stayed in that low state for so long that it's now starting to attract like for like. And for anyone wondering, well, how do you define something that is a low frequency? Isn't that just a matter of opinion? We all have an internal guidance system that tells us when something is off. And even though people try to numb themselves and try to stop themselves from feeling anything, you can still feel the frequency of something. You can still feel the vibe. So let that guide you. Okay, so practical tips. Some people voluntarily choose to lower their vibration, and I don't know why people do this, but I need to go on a bit of a rant here. There are many situations where we're faced with life challenges and the situation is out of our control. But then there's other things that people do voluntarily that lower their frequency. One of those things is watching films or television shows about horrific things happening. I've ranted about this before, but let me just say this, right? I once knew someone who used to voluntarily watch programs like Debt Collectors. This was a show about people who were that much in debt that they ended up with the bailiffs coming round and taking all of their stuff, right? And the guy said to me that the reason why he watched it was because it reminded him of all the things that he has and that he should be grateful. This is complete bollocks. I know most of you guys watching probably don't do this, but I just have to rant about it anyway because some people do this. They will watch shows like Debt Collectors, Jeremy Kyle, those programs about extreme injuries where people go to A&E. I don't know why someone would want to watch this in the first place, but if you watch things like this, you are so much more likely for a situation like that to enter into your life. You're actually lowering your vibration so much. And I've noticed a pattern with the differences between people who have good things happen in their life and people who just have a plethora of terrible things happen. They watch very different media. The reason why they put these things on the TV is to keep people in a low vibration because, in case you're new here, this entire system is designed for us to be on a low frequency. That's why there is only about 1% of this population that's running everything, that has all of the wealth, and the rest of us are just struggling to make ends meet. But that's gonna change, mark my words, because people are waking up. Anyway, the next thing to think about is how do you deal with toxic people? Now, a lot of people will take this to the extreme and they will just list certain characteristics and they'll bunch all of the toxic people into this toxic people bin, right? But in my opinion, there is different types of toxic. Also bear in mind that people are not perfect. You can't just get rid of all of the relationships in your life because someone's going through a hard time. That can be very selfish and narcissistic to just cut someone out of your life because they're in a low vibration. It all depends on the circumstance, and ultimately use your own discernment. Don't just take what somebody says online as the gospel. But as a rough guide, if you have someone in your life that is actually not a true friend, that will lower your vibration continuously. You'll keep raising yourself up and that person will keep dragging you down. The easiest way to tell, really, if someone is lowering your vibe continuously is to pay attention to how you feel after you've seen that person. Do you feel energized or do you feel drained? If you feel drained every time that you see that person, most likely they are draining your energy. Obviously, there's certain circumstances where you can't just get rid of people from your life. For years, I had to work with colleagues that some of them I just couldn't stand. But here's the trick on how to deal with that. This is probably the most important thing to bear in mind. What often happens that drags people down is that maybe something bad will happen, and initially it pissed you off. You could say the emotion that you felt in that moment was probably maybe annoyance. But sometimes what happens is we will focus on that thing without realising, without consciously being aware that we're actually being sucked in. Something has lowered our vibe and we're then pissed off because it's made us pissed off, and then we get more pissed off because we're pissed off. And what happens is we hold on to it. And we keep squeezing until our hand is getting numb. There's so much grip. You can't focus on anything else. And then it makes you angry and it keeps going and it keeps going. What you need to do is you need to let it go. Let that shit go. The moment that you let it go, your hand is free. You feel lighter. What happens is that we grip hold of something and we think that we're somehow gaining control of the matter because we're holding on to it. But when we let it go, it falls to the ground and dissipates. What we realise is that we were actually holding it up the whole time. We were adding volume and weight to this negative situation and thus making it harder for ourselves. I can give you a real life example as well of what this looks like. When I worked at my old job, some days I would walk in and I'd feel absolutely great. I'd feel good about myself, everything was fine, I felt peaceful. But so often I would have to work with people that didn't like me. And they would try and make sly digs at work to try and make me feel crap. And sometimes it worked. And like I say, initially it was just, that's annoying. I don't really appreciate that. But then what would happen is I would hyper focus on it. And the more that I would focus on it, the worse I would feel. And it would carry on and get worse and worse throughout the day. Meanwhile, I've now got myself into this slump, and the other person, the demon that's possessing them, is like, hee, laughing at me. But I was giving that demonic entity attention. I was feeding it. And that's another thing. People need to bear this in mind when it comes to learning about vibration and all of that. There's some new agers that don't believe in demons, and let me tell you, they are real. In fact, this entire thing of raising your frequency is, in my opinion, biblical, because the demons are all there on the lower frequency wanting to drag people down. And it is our job to raise ourselves up, rise above it so that we do not get dragged down by these entities. Another thing that's just vitally important and very obvious, but it needs to be in this video, the better you treat your body, the higher the vibration you will be in general. And this isn't about being a perfectionist and trying to do everything at once. There's some unhealthy things that I do. Some people point out that, oh, how can you talk about natural things when you have nails or you wear makeup? It's all about doing the best that you can and prioritising what is necessary and what really isn't necessary. For me, I understand that having makeup on and wearing fake nails is inviting some level of toxicity into my body. But I also do a hell of a lot of things to make sure that my body is able to detox things persistently. Now, there's some things that people have that are highly toxic, they're not necessary, and people aren't even aware of it. I was going to make a whole video about this, but Teflon pans, get rid of them. They are poison. People think that they're being healthy by having non-stick pans. But let me tell you, they create so many health problems. Just use stainless steel. Glade plugins. Why? Why do people have fragrances in their house? It's poisoning you. And it's lowering your vibration. Like I said before, the world is designed in a way that is trying to put you in a lower state. But here's the most important tip in this entire video. This is the thing that has really changed things for me. The aim of the game is not to just stay in a high frequency 24/7 and just live in eternal bliss and never ever have a negative feeling ever again. That to me is bullshit. And it really is setting people up for failure. The real goal is no matter how many times you get knocked down, what matters is how quickly you get back up into that higher frequency. How quickly you can get yourself out of that lower state. Even in situations where there's challenges in life, because like I say, if you keep your vibe high, you will be able to find the solutions to these problems. How many times have you seen someone get wrapped up in their emotions and they can't really do anything efficiently in that state? Some quick things that you can do is move your body, shake it off, get out into nature, dance. Any form of exercise is great, even if it's just running on the spot for 30 seconds. It loosens everything up and it gets all of that stagnant energy out. Listening to music can change your frequency instantly. However, just bear in mind that most mainstream music is actually designed to lower your frequency. But even with that in mind, I personally will just listen to whatever feels good at the time. But these are just ideas, just quick little things that you can do. But ultimately, to put it completely simply, the way to raise your frequency is to simply go in the direction of whatever gives you joy. And that is personal to everyone. Have those things in mind, and whenever something brings you down, make a conscious effort to go towards those things that bring you joy. Something as simple as holding your cat. My cat brings me joy. I hope you guys found this video helpful, or at least entertaining. Comment down below what brings you joy. Thank you so much to everyone who likes, comments, shares and subscribes. And thank you to everyone who donates to this channel as well. It really does help a great deal. And I'll see you in the next video. Love you, bye!